So I did this survey on I sent out this survey to all the international East Asian students to get their perspectives on waste and how do they think their culture could get some input to these ideas. And my target there's not a bunch of people in like our campus. There's only 3 Korean students, 4 Japan, 1 from Taiwan, and 23 from mainland China. There's total of 32 of them, and I only get response from 15 of them, and mainly most of them from China, including me, and 1 from Taiwan and 1 from South Korea. There's actually a lot of differences I observed than I usually expected. They think, some of the students think the American students tend to pay less attention to save their daily use of energy. Like they observed people like leaving their lights on, like in the room or in the library, and they think they just forgot to turn them off when they left. And some students also think there are more water saved from the households in China and Taiwan because they think people here take longer shower times, or like actually we use these water containers to wash vegetables or sometimes wash our hands. So, and we can use them again and again, so maybe we can save more water through this. And this is a picture of the containers we use to wash vegetables. And about food waste, there's more controversy about this. Some people think there are more food waste on our campus than mainland China, simply because they think people throw out more food here. And there's also a packaging issues because we recently have like introduced the eco containers in Hanwha, then we can get it to go and hand it back. But but schools in China never provide paper plates like we can throw out just one time after we eat. They usually use those plates like Smiths, so you can use them again. Or if people want to get their food to go, they can. It is more normal in China for people to bring their own containers to take the food to go. And this is a picture of the containers people use in Chinese schools that they use. And there are also people think that there are more food wasted when eating out in mainland China because they think people usually don't ask for to-go boxes when they have leftovers because they want to save face. That's a kind of Chinese culture. And there are also differences in policies between US and East Asia. Plastic bags in stores are not for free in mainland Taiwan and China. People usually the government impose regulations for people to, in stores, to charge people to get plastic bags. And however, there are not strict policies on categorization of waste in mainland China, and some of the issues goes along with corruption or other stuff like that. And however, the student also replied that there are strict policies enforced on recycling in Taiwan and South Korea. Both of the areas, like they separate food waste from other type of waste. And in Taiwan, the student said the person collecting the trash will check their own categorizations of food, of the waste to make sure that they are put into the correct category. And in South Korea, the fines are even being paid if they do not categorize their trash correctly. And I also think they also mentioned some of the cultural influences. East Asian countries emphasize on the social hierarchy introduced by Confucius. This is respecting the others. The others are in the power position, so people need to listen to them and not making judgment of them and following their doctrines of living. Since the older generations pay more attention on saving as they had poor conditions than the modern generations, their implementation of the idea of saving is still influencing some of the youth nowadays. And there is also a drawback, like from that point, like in the term 关系 is a central idea in Chinese society for maintaining a good relationship with each other. And while people get out and eating together, people were likely to show their generosity and trying to maintain a good relationship by serving each other food. So people will serve each other food if they see their plates are empty. So it is more common for people to left some food on the plates when they left. And I think this culture has brought a lot of food waste issues in China. And that's pretty much it. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, all the questions are open-ended questions, so they can put on anything. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. When you say that in Chinese restaurants in the mainland, people don't ask for to-go boxes, is that because they take their own containers or because they don't want to take food out of the restaurant?
They just feel like they will lose face if they take out the food because just some of people think they are wealthy, so they do not need to take the leftovers. They think of the leftover as something like poor or something like that.
Thank you.
Any questions?
This is more just a follow-up. In Japan too, I don't know right now, it's been a while since I've lived in Japan, but many years ago when I lived in Japan, if you asked to take things out, mochikairi, it was very, very difficult. And I remember once, I kind of got into a little scuffle with the waitress about this, and she was so angry that she put my spaghetti in like a plastic garbage bag and threw it on the table. But the same, I didn't understand at the time. I'm trying to bring my food out of the restaurant. Food in Japan is rather expensive, and but it was the same rationale. I was told later that it's almost like a legacy from the war years, that if you are asking to do the takeout, it implies somehow that you're poor. And this is back in the days when Japan's economy was quite strong, and so people were very eager to not think about being poor. It was back in the days when everyone had a Louis Vuitton bag. So these days, I'm not sure. It's been a while since I lived in Japan, so I'd be curious to see. But that same resistance was in Japan back in like the late 80s, the 90s.
Yeah, in modern days, it is less common for people not to take food out, but still some people will think it's not appropriate to take. Yeah.
Just to follow up on the same conversation, as an anthropologist, I immediately become interested in cultural boundaries, and so when I hear not taking out food, and I've thought the same in Japan, is because that food has now been converted into waste, right? If it was food that was not consumed in that particular act, it's now transformed some way. Because what I do see in Japan is people will do, for example, Granny's at home, she's bedridden, she can't come to the restaurant. You will order food for Granny to take out and take home to her to eat, but that's sort of a meal that's been prepared that way to take out. So there does seem to be something in terms of that as well, at least in the Japanese context, I think, that you don't sort of take over leftovers because that's food that should be left in that context.
I have a question about your survey. When you reached out to students, did they wonder why you were asking questions about waste? And what reaction did you find from them when you first started asking them?
I actually sent out this by email, and at the first time, there's really a few replies, and they don't really, because I think all of the East Asian students is only me studying in environmental studies, so none of them care about waste. So I think they didn't reply at first. Then I asked them again, and there's more. Yeah.
In the emails, when they did reply, did they ask you, why are you doing this?
No. Is there any other questions? Thank you.